So, so Frank is the host. Frank, you remember him? He was already my assistant on the last tour where you met him in the hotel.
Yeah, in the hotel in Brazil, right?
In São Paulo, yeah, in the hotel in São Paulo, exactly. And he got some. Frank, tá ok com seu áudio, com seu vídeo, tudo ok?
Agora eu tô ouvindo.
Okay, so it's working like a normal press conference. Okay, people will hold up his hand and say with the next question. Frank is the host. If there's one journalist with a question in Portuguese or in Spanish, we translate it, or Frank translating it, or Samuel from Santiago in Chile is translating it into English, and you answer it in English, and he will translate it back to Portuguese and Spanish.
Cool.
So have fun. I will stay online and see everything. And yeah, let's go. Thanks for everyone being online again. Nice to see you. Hope you are all fine. Thanks for the support. Let's go.
Bruno, do Confere Só, pode fazer suas primeiras duas perguntas. Bruno? É só tirar o... Wait, ask to unmute. You should be doing your... you have no audio. Okay. He sent me his questions in chat. I will do the questions for you, Joakim, just one moment. This is just a moment here. How have you seen with the political tension nowadays? How do you see the possibility of a new world conflict and the themes that this generates in a consequence of a war?
Wow, easy start. Thanks for that. Actually, I don't know. You'll have to ask somebody who's smarter than me, I guess. But on the other hand, I'm not overly worried, actually.
Okay. And do you think the theme could be a trilogy somehow?
I'm not gonna say it's impossible because we haven't decided what we're gonna do next, but at least from, the feeling I have is, no, I don't think we're gonna do the next album about World War I. It's the reason we did this first one was obvious, but then with the second one that came here, that's partly because we felt we were missing some stories like Christmas Truce and Harlem Hellfighters. Those were stories we really wanted to tell. And then we had so many emails, basically, and books from friends and fans. So a lot of stories were like, oh shit, how did we not know about this? And we had been researching, World War I for quite some time. So lots of surprises. And then when the pandemic hit and we were sent home, we decided well, we're gonna go make another album. If we would have done it about something totally different, we had the risk of making the Great War songs or feel irrelevant. So, for example, which might not have been a problem in Europe, but we didn't get to play Australia, Latin America, or Japan, for example, on the Great War tour. So we thought, we should probably stay on this topic and make sure everybody gets to see that show and expand on it.
Okay, thank you for this. Valeu, Bruno. Clovis from Acesso Music Brazil can do his questions.
Joakim, nice to meet you.
Hey, Clovis.
Well, I have two quick questions. The first one is, what's the main difference, musically speaking, between this new album and the previous one? You see differences, or you see as a continuation of each other?
They are complementing in a continuation at the same time. I think the biggest difference, I think, is there's more variation, I think, personally, on this one than on the Great War. Production is better. Jonas did a really good job where we could get more guitars, make it heavier, but at the same time have less distortion, which made it easier in the mix to get a little bit more guitar oriented, I guess. But also liberating in a way because music and the stories we tell doesn't necessarily have to be exactly in the same ballpark, but since a lot of the expected topics like the Red Baron and a lot of famous things were taken already for the Great War, it was so nice to dig into more obscure or stuff we hadn't heard so much about before, and stories that hasn't been told so many times, and that lent itself a little bit more musical freedom, I guess.
All right, and the second question is a curiosity. Could we maybe expect in the future from Sabaton to write another song talking about Brazil, as you did in the Smoking Snake song?
Absolutely. I'm afraid we're going to have to say there's a lot of stuff in the world that we feel like we aren't as educated as we should be. I mean, simply by the fact that we don't know as much about, Latin American history, also French history, Eastern European history, because a lot of it is hidden behind a language barrier. And no matter if we are trying to sort of offset that and trying to be better, it is sort of impossible to ignore that we grew up reading Scandinavian history and watching Americanized and British TV series and movies fed from Hollywood, So we are actively working on, diverging. Unfortunately, so much is hidden behind, a Spanish, Portuguese, or, Ukrainian or Polish language barrier.
All right. Thank you very much, Joakim. All the best.
Thank you.
GG Andrade from Revista Freak Magazine.
Olá, Joaquim, tudo bem?
Hey.
Como é que foi essa história, essa troca de informações com os fãs, essa participação dos fãs no álbum, assim, com relatos da Primeira Guerra que a banda ainda não conhecia? Como é que foi essa troca de informações entre banda e fãs? Como é que foi isso?
He wants to know how was that information exchange between fans and you guys when doing thematics about the war.
In many cases, it starts with a book or an email. We have a place on our website, sort of, where it says contact the band, and you can sort of get in touch with us there, send us a link, or get to inform us on stuff that you think we probably haven't heard of or we should write about. You maybe want to translate there.
Yeah. Eles sempre começam por um livro ou com um e-mail que eles recebem através do site, né? Que as pessoas podem contatar a banda através do site oficial deles, né? Então eles são informados sobre a informação e eles depois avaliam a informação que eles recebem, né?
So in the case of the song of Smoking Snakes, for example, that I remember it was a email from a Brazilian guy, and we basically Googled and looked out on the internet and the information he sent us, and we thought it was a fantastic story, and that's why we decided to make a song about it.
E no caso de Smoking Snakes, eles receberam um e-mail de um fã brasileiro que eles procuraram no Google a respeito dessa história e eles decidiram fazer uma música, porque eles acharam a história incrível.
Muito bacana. E a segunda pergunta é, álbum novo, né? Agora pegar a estrada para divulgar esse álbum. E recentemente a banda teve uma turnê europeia cancelada. Como é que estão essas negociações agora para os shows, para as turnês? Como é que está mais difícil? Esse pós-Covid, assim, vamos dizer?
He wants to know, with this new record, are there plans for a new tour since the last one was cancelled? And if there are plans with post-COVID situation now?
Well, let's just be really honest here. Our number one priority above everything else is to go back on tour. There's a reason we became musicians, and that's because we love to play music, and we have fucking not been allowed to do that for too long.
Ele falou que a primeira prioridade deles é tocar ao vivo, é por isso que eles se tornaram músicos. E a primeira coisa que eles querem fazer é tocar ao vivo, pelo amor de Deus, é disso que eles vivem.
Tá bom. Valeu, obrigado, Joaquim.
Thank you.
José, do Papo Metal Podcast, pode fazer suas 2 perguntas do Brasil.
Hello, Joaquim. Nice to meet you.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Hello. My question is about the Unkillable Soldier. Tells a story about an important soldier. How was the research to discover more information about him and do the music?
Oh, that one was very different. I mean, not in the research in a way, but it's a very different thing because we always take a humorous approach to it. Because the story of Adrian is so, I mean, not even Marvel could come up with that, you know. That's beyond superhero comedy almost what happened. But we had him in mind actually already for the Great War, but we didn't have the right music. But now I managed to squeeze out a song that had that playfulness that we wanted. And the information flow in this case was really easy for us because first there was a whole lot of him, you know, online. Obviously he'd written a book as well with a foreword of Winston Churchill even. And later also it turns out that Indy, who is helping us with, is the host of the Sabaton History Channel. Also knew quite a lot about him and the history team because they are the expert. We are passionate amateurs when it comes to history, but we need help from experts sometimes. No?
Great. And about the Christmas truce, the video clip is amazing, and there's a story about friendship in the middle of a war. And how was the idea to do a cartoon about this song?
Oh, we actually, that was one of the songs I think we wanted to do Christmas truce for several years, but we never had the right music. It wouldn't fit on the last album because it's about Last Stand, you know. But we dropped the ball on the Great War, not because we didn't want to, but we didn't have the right music. I tried and wrote several pieces of music that just didn't feel right. It's quite important for us that the music and the story we're telling, that they speak the same emotional language. I sound like a hippie, I don't mean that, but you know, the message gets through. And it wasn't until now, so when we decided we were going to do one more album about the First World War, that was the first song we wrote, was Christmas Truce.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Guilherme Costa from Crash TV Brazil can do his questions now.
Thank you, Marcos. So, Joaquim, hello, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, man.
So, my name is Guilherme Costa. I'm from Crash TV from Brazil. So, I have 2 questions. So, the first one of them. So, we know that the songs from Sabaton always show us many historic facts with their lyrics. So, have you thought about writing a song about the pandemic event someday?
Oh, well, yes and no. I mean, first of all, love your t-shirt.
Thank you so much.
Before we get going. Grew up playing that game. And no, at the same time, because there are so many interesting things in history and so many things to cover. And we sort of realized that we have to limit ourselves, even though we don't see it as a limitation at all, to sort of battle and conflict directly or indirectly, but it has to be in that. I mean, technically, Christmas truce isn't a battle, but it is in that context, and a pandemic would be taking it that far. I mean, we're all interested in history in the band, but you know, one thing I like to dive into could be Renaissance Italy and the Medici family, but that wouldn't make a great heavy metal album, you know. So I think no, pandemics will have to wait.
Oh, great. So my second question. So before my second question, let's play Street Fighter someday.
Yeah, hey, you're gonna kick my ass. I haven't played for 5 years now.
That would be really great. Okay. So my question now, it's about the name Sabaton. So where did the idea of the name Sabaton came from? Does it have some special meaning?
Well, it is actually very easy, but also at the same time kind of silly. This is even the Sabaton means is like the knight's armor on the foot, scale armor on the foot, from a, you know, I'd say 16th century medieval knight. And we basically were called Aeon back in 1999. We found out that name was taken already. So we said this was probably Tuesday or something. And then we say for next week on Tuesday, everybody has to come up with one name suggestion. Okay, everybody said. And I went home and I looked through my books and I, oh, Sabaton, that sounds nice. And we could have the Sabaton on the logo of the S, you know, the scale armor. And I came on Tuesday ready to argue my case. And I had it. And then everybody else like, oh, no, we forgot. Sabaton is fine. So nobody else had an idea. They forgot about it. And we decided to stick with it.
Well, nice. Thank you so much, Joakim. Nice to meet you, bro.
Thanks, man. Nice to meet you.
Gustavo Maiato can do his 2 questions, please.
Joakim, how are you?
I'm good, and you? Oh, yeah, another good t-shirt. My favorite band. I love you guys. Great t-shirt.
So, well, my first question for you. Well, 99% of Sabaton songs talk essentially about men in war. But we had, for example, the song Night Witches. Talks about a woman regiment from Russia. But now with the song Lady of the Dark, I think we can say that it's the first time that one single female historic character is approached in Sabaton songs.
Yep.
So how does it feel to talk again about a woman? And a more philosophical question, how do you think woman fits in this world of war and battles?
Oh, that's a good question. From our point of view, the fact that they are male or female isn't the deciding factor. It is this battle or event, or is this person interesting enough? And if that is a qualification is yes, then I would say that if that person happens to be a woman, that's even cooler because it's more unique and different. It's unexpected. Same thing with hellfighters, African American and Puerto Rican soldiers mostly.
Oops.
I didn't know about this. So, yeah, in those cases, I really prefer it, actually, if it's something unique about it. But on the other hand,
Ele caiu?
Parece que o áudio parou. Tem que checar isso.
Yeah.
Agora voltou.
It crashed.
I think he crashed. Wait him to come back.
I'm still here. It says.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, I'm alive.
Yes, you're a fighter. Okay.
Your audio was off suddenly, or so.
Yeah, maybe my connection. I'm in the middle of Scandinavian winter. I have snow until my waist.
In the middle of winter storm. Okay.
Okay, but I think I got it. And well, my second question is a performance question for you. It's because, well, I want to know how do you start using your classic outfit in the concerts, and how do you start to hitting your knees so hard during the songs?
Oh, well, when it comes to the vest, it's very easy. We were filming the video for Atero Dominatus. That was the first time we used it. And we just wanted something different because we were going to film in a bunker, sort of get that feeling, and we needed something for the video. So we decided urban or winter camo. So no matter what color the lights the producer and director would use, it wouldn't look weird. And one of the guitarists said, hey, put that weird vest you bought in London a couple of years ago on, and we'll use it for that video. And it felt really weird to put that fake six-pack on. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy about it now because it's a family pack, really. Yeah, we just planned for it to be the video. And then everybody commented on, oh, we like your new stage clothes. So that's how it ended up. And with the hand, basically, it comes from me not knowing what to do. I mean, I have no fucking hair to headbang with. What am I going to do when I'm not singing, you know? I got to do something.
Okay, Joakim, thank you.
Thank you.
Pamela Calderon from Peru, can you do your questions?
Hello, Joaquin.
Hello.
Hello. Well, first, thank you, Marcos. Hello, Joaquin. Nice to meet you. My name is Pamela.
Nice to meet you too.
Nice to meet you. Well, first of all, I want to say congratulations for this upcoming release, The Word with the End of Words, that it's out on March 4th. I would like to ask you two questions. My first question is, has there ever been any subject or topic that you wanted to write about, but you just couldn't find a way to tell the story?
Yeah, like Christmas Truce is something we wanted to sing about for many, many years. But since it was one of my favorite stories from military history, I think I have tried to write that song for so many times and I just never couldn't do it. The first time I tried was probably 2009 was the first time I tried to write a song about it. To this day, I still haven't finished the song about Pearl Harbor. I don't know why. And I started that in 2006.
Well, you can write an entire album talking about Pearl Harbor. I mean, yeah. It's a very huge story. Yeah, very interesting. And my other question is, have you ever had issues with people who see Sabaton as a band who glorifies war and do not understand the historical perspective you are presenting?
On a daily basis, yes. All the time. I think most rock and metal journalists and fans, or people in the metal scene, I should say, are aware of this. But we find ourselves, as we get bigger and bigger as a band, there are more and more people who discover us outside of these circles who haven't read interviews like this, and they just hear a few words. And I mean, in pretty much any of our songs, something taken out of context can be really damning. If you play old Rise of Evil from Matero Dominatus and you hear the Reich will rise, and people are gonna go, oh, wait. So yeah, we're facing that pretty much every day, but in a sense, it is getting better because the bigger we get as a band and the more albums we have put out and we sing about these stories from different angles all the time, it gets easier,
Yeah, and as you mentioned, I guess that it's also very important to listen to the entire record, because sometimes when you listen only to songs, you have that idea. But after you listen to the entire album, you get the whole idea and the perspective that you are presenting. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it is also a danger with music, and I'm not complaining or blaming anyone here, but traditionally, music has been delivering a message, even since the early days. In the beginning, it was religious. And then after a while, it was political, 60s, for example, or it was bar music for fun. But people are looking for a message automatically when it comes to music. While with the movies and films, it was always okay to just tell a story without having a message there. So I think it's a natural reaction at the same time. But I mean, who would ask Steven Spielberg if he's a Nazi when he did the movie Schindler's List? Nobody.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Joaquin, it was nice to talk to you and hope to see you soon here down in South America.
Can't wait to get over.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Marcos.
You're welcome. And now Felipe Panda from Rock Legacy from Chile.
Hello, Joaquin. Nice to meet you.
Hello. Nice to meet you, man.
Thanks. Man, from Rock Legacy in Chile, I'd like to know, what you said something about the sources where you took information. Is there any material, book or whatever that makes any deep impact on you about the lyrics in the songs, the topics you that appear in the songs?
Yeah, it's different on every song. Sometimes I go through books and a lot of research, and I don't even know where to start. This is a really old example, but it's the best example, sort of. But on the album Prima Victoria, which was a long time ago, I remember we had a song about Stalingrad, and I did all the movies, all the books I could come across, and I still didn't know what to write about. And this is still, 2004 when I wrote these lyrics. I mean, Wikipedia and the internet wasn't really that big of a thing, but there was some info. But somebody at some university website had copied and translated a Russian soldier's diary of his experiences in Stalingrad. So after all of that research, I used none of it. Everything was that soldier's diary. So it is about finding what gets me or Pat, who will be doing the lyrics, what gets us excited about telling that story. And sometimes it's the facts, sometimes, or most commonly actually, it's the human touch. Why, what happened to this person or these people?
That's great. Thank you. And the last question, do you have any special guests for the next tour, or maybe a wish of somebody or some band?
Oh, so many guests and wishes. I don't know which ones we can, in general, can have at this moment, because normally there would be a chance to not pick and choose, but we'd have a bit more of a say. But coming out of these pandemic times, honestly, most bands are in survival mode. It's really tough. I mean, even on us, but we were luckily enough got past the point that we could still, in crisis mode, survive as a band. But there's a lot of younger or smaller bands who are a few years behind in their career, who've been totally fucked, sorry for the language, by these situations. So unfortunately, it's a bit of a chaos now, because everybody needs to find a headline tour. Every band, trust me, not for the wrong reasons, every band wants to go out there and play great shows for the right reasons, but to take a support slot for a longer time, for example, when we go on a longer tour, we're going to ask a band to join us for quite some time, and of course we're going to pay the support band, but we won't pay them as much as if they were headliners. So I think it is a lot trickier these days, and I think it will last for a year or two coming out of the pandemic until things start to stabilize again.
Okay, thank you so much. Nice to talk to you. Thank you, Joaquin. Thank you, Marco.
You're welcome, Felipe. Agora, Larissa Oliveira, do Wikimetal, pode fazer sua pergunta?
Hello, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm good. And you?
I'm doing great, and I'd like to know, when it comes to tour, now they're talking about it, Sabaton goes to the most different places and countries that don't exactly have this culture of knowing or participating in research about war. And I didn't know about the Brazilian smoking snakes before Sabaton told me about it. So it's a bit embarrassing, but we don't have this culture. But how do you communicate with so many different countries, different languages, and it still has this great, relationship with the public and are able to communicate this very specific topic?
I don't know. It's mainly because I think we take the stories we tell pretty serious, you know, especially when we're writing the music, but we don't take ourselves very serious, you know. We go on stage and we genuinely love to be on stage and have fun. And I couldn't live with myself trying to look cool and look at my feet, you know, and shit like that. And what's different every night for us on stage is the crowd. Because God knows I've fucking played Swedish Pagans enough, you know, or any other song. So that is the biggest attraction for us, is to see a different crowd. Or, hey, recognizing a guy in the second row, like, I saw you yesterday as well, you know, stuff like that. So that's what keeps it interesting for us, because, yeah, of course, we love playing music, but certain songs we played 1,000 times live, and they're not going to be super exciting for us to play again for normal, understandable reasons.
Yes, and now that we know that Sabaton has a lot of things to uncover in future songs, I would like to know, musically, what was the biggest challenge for this record?
Single song would be Christmas Truce, because I'd failed so many times trying, and it was the first one, and the first one is always the hardest, because mentally you are competing with you have a piece of demo, a piece of music you just started, and mentally you are performance anxiety, because you're comparing it to the greatest hits of every song you ever made, and then at that point nothing feels good enough. And then we are in the second thing that was hard with this album, I think, is that it wasn't so long ago we did Great War. It usually takes me some time from, you know, when we make an album, then we start going on tour. Touring is fine, but it takes me a year after writing and recording an album before I want to get into songwriting mode again and start recording ideas, coming up with stuff, and get excited, you know, about it. And I didn't have enough time to get so many ideas as I wanted to start with. I mean, when I'm sitting down and writing, I can still come up with them. And I had a lot of help from Chris, our guitar player. But it was pretty short on time. And it's funny you should ask that question, because let's see now, what is it? We are on the 23rd of February here. And today, while standing in the shower, yes, that was the first time I got excited and I started thinking about writing music, you know, oh yeah, and this and that, and I started getting ideas. And that is then 11 months since we pretty much finished recording of this album, The War to End All Wars. So yeah, it takes almost a year before I start getting excited about doing music again.
Yes, so you're already arranging ideas for a next album, maybe?
Yeah, of course, always. I like writing music. It's, you know, it's so funny. People are asking, oh, when are you going to start researching the next album, or when are you going to start writing music for the next album? I do that every day. I watch history documentaries 5 times a week minimum, you know, because I love to. I read these books. So that's a huge advantage, I think.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're excited. First for the next album and for whatever comes next. Thank you.
Thank you.
Samuel will help me out with translations with for Gustavo from Territorial Rock from Argentina. He wants to do some questions, but he sent them on writing.
Spanish, yeah. Well, hi, Joaquin.
Hello there.
Okay.
I'm good. And you?
I'm fine. Here in Santiago, Chile. Well, these questions are from Gustavo Alegre from territorialrock.com from Argentina.
Okay. Nice to meet you.
He doesn't speak.
Oh, there it is. Hello.
Yeah, he doesn't speak English, so his 2 questions are: is there any chance that Sabaton could make a song about Malvinas War from an Argentinian point of view?
Interesting. Absolutely. I don't know when or how, but I never even thought of it. Why not? I mean, that would be a cool thing to cover, sort of something we've done before, but from a different point of view. Cool idea. I'll think about it for sure.
Great. Bueno, Gustavo dice que es interesante, no sabe cuándo o cómo lo puede hacer, pero nunca lo han pensado, así que suena como una idea súper buena de realizar. Así que no estaría malo hacerlo con la Guerra de las Malvinas, según Joaquín. And the second question is, according to the band, what's the good and the bad about Sabaton?
Tricky question.
Yeah.
Decirle que es muy difícil contestar esa pregunta que nosotros acostumbramos a preguntarle a todas las bandas acá. Es muy difícil.
Well, Gustavo used to ask this question to a lot of bands. So, and every member of every band, it's like, oh, that's a tricky question. You got me confused.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think when I'm thinking of it is something that is good, that we are very proud of, which also leans into the negative, as that we are genuinely good friends, everybody in the band. We have a crew that we love to death, and we are having a great time on tour. Sometimes people get angry with each other, but that's fine. That's the same thing in families, you know. But in general, we're all having a great time. And the problem then becomes that we sometimes maybe overdo it, you know. I remember back in 2014, we did, I think, 170 shows in 12 months. And that was really hard. It wasn't boring, but it felt like we did, at least for me personally, when I went on stage, it felt like I didn't care as much as it should, you know. I went on stage, I did it, I had a good time, but then like I caught myself thinking about other things during the show. And that's not why we want to do it. So at the same time as we are liking it and doing it, we are also very ambitious and pushing. And that could be a bad thing as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Joaquín. Bueno, Gustavo,
Thank you, Joaquín.
Dice, creo que algo de lo que están muy orgullosos es que ellos son muy buenos amigos. También tienen un crew, un equipo que aman, que lo pasan muy bien en las giras y, bueno, aunque se enojen de repente, es como súper normal, toda la gente se enoja, lo siguen pasando bien. El problema, según Joaquín, es que se sobreexigen mucho a veces. Piensa que hace unos años tocaron 170 shows en 12 meses, una cantidad irrisoria de shows, y dice que al mismo tiempo de que ellos sentían ser capaces de poder lograr estos shows, se estaban sobreexigiendo. Se sintió como demasiado para él y para la banda, así que ese es el problema, que se exigen demasiado.
Espectacular. Thank you so much, Joaquín.
Thank you.
Gracias, Samuel.
Thank you, Joaquín.
Gracias, tu vez. ¿Puede hacer sus preguntas, por favor? Rocio, Belén. ¿Estás distraída?
Hi, no, I didn't understand you. Hi, Marcus. Hi, Joras. Hi, Joaquin.
Hello.
How are you doing?
So far, so good. I'm enjoying this, actually. I've never done this before. So,
awesome. Great.
Thanks.
Well, I got a few questions for you. I'm talking to you from Chile, from Resistance website. And first of all, I'd like to know if have you ever had a closer or personal experience that sparked your interest in telling war stories and sing about battles and the structure? Where does this need came from?
Well, I'm sorry to say, it would be cool if I had a great war story now, but I don't. But I think
maybe for example, a grandfather that told you stories before slavery.
No, not really. I mean, Sweden has been neutral for such a long time. I mean, I'm 50% Czech. My mother is from the Czech Republic, and I know her grandfather fought in World War I or something like that. But he never spoke about it, so she doesn't know much more. But in a sense, it all comes down to, I think this is 2003 or 4. We have the music for the song Prima Victoria, but we don't have the lyrics. And me and Per decided, we can't sing about, killing dragons, drinking beer, or riding motorcycles here. this has a huge sound to it. We need a big subject. So we thought, well, D-Day landings in Normandy. And when we started to write that in lyrics along those lines, lyrics wasn't a necessary evil anymore. Before that, we just, yeah, lyrics, we have to do them. But maybe we weren't trying as hard. But all of a sudden, it became interesting. So we thought, maybe we should do a whole album about military history. And that was Prima Victoria. So it was a long time ago, and we're still doing it. But our interest in history has sort of grown with the band. So people usually have this idea that we were super history nerds, and then we got that into the band. It's actually the opposite way around. We were pretty normal human beings before, but someone turned us into history nerds.
All right, cool. And well, the second one it is, how it is your process when you have to swim inside the history and vocally recreate that feelings into a war scene, that intensity, that pain, and it still sounds epic, you know, how it is your emotional vocal process?
Oh, but I think the key word that you said it yourself already, emotional. For me, it doesn't work to listen to much other music when I'm writing music. I would, if I have writer's block, I will expose myself to something that will give me an emotional response. So it could be watching The Pacific, a TV series, a movie about war, something that would invoke an emotional response and translate that into music rather than listening to a piece of music, because it's easy to steal involuntarily. That's something any songwriter is dealing with anyway. It's hard to remember everything you've heard and exactly where you heard it. And when you write something new, when it sounds familiar, you don't know, is it because I've had this in my head for a long time? Or did I steal this shit? You know? So yeah, I think the key word here to answer your question is to get the emotion it gives me when I'm discovering the story, when I'm finding out and I'm really passionate about this story now. Wow, what emotions am I feeling when I'm finding out about this, and then trying to translate them into music. I sound like a hippie again, I'm sorry.
That's awesome, you're a musician, it's absolutely right. And the last one is about a question that a partner asked before about the sources, but I want to know specifically how it's been the work with the Indian Idol.
Oh, it's great. He is so much fun. Trust me, give him 2 glasses of red wine and then just shut the fuck up and listen, and you are gonna have a great night. He is such a nice guy. He full of stories. He's lived so many places in this world. Also, it's easy to forget that he is a university educated historian. He's not only a host on YouTube. Yeah, highly fun to work with, and a good sport also when we're in Tunisia and cars are crashing and you have sand up your ass and stuff like that in the desert.
Cool, that's awesome. Well, anything else you want to say about it?
No, not that I can think of.
Cool. Thank you so much for all of this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus, Gerard, and Samuel.
Thank you, Rocio.
Thank you, Rocio. Thank you.
Now it's Johnny from Conexión Rock de Honduras. Johnny? It's your turn.
Hoy sí, ¿me escuchas?
Yeah. Listen
okay. Hi, Marcus. Hi, Joaquim. Good evening from Honduras, Central America. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Johnny.
It's a big pleasure to talk to you. First of all, congratulations for the release of the new album in a few days. And of course, I have 2 questions for you. we know that the name of the album is a Greek reference for one song that appears in the Greek War of 2090. Perhaps we are witness that this album is the conclusion of some trilogy or anthology that the band has done in these almost 25 years. By the way, let me tell you, Christmas Truce reminds me a lot Christmas Eve Sarajevo from Trans-Siberian Orchestra. And curiously, the first track is the first track of the album is called Sarajevo.
Ah, I did not think of that one though. That's a good one. But it's also the start of the war, so I will be excused from that one. But yeah, of course, we are aware of the connection with the Sarajevo. That the main theme, or the from that one, is from the song "Carol of the Bells," old folk song, I think, from long time ago. I think it's originally written by a Russian, 100 or 200 years ago, something like that.
I think.
But I didn't want to take it totally, but of course I loved the reference from Carol of the Bells. That's why the last two times on the song towards the end it turns around from dun 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 to dun 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 to Carol of the Bells. And we were absolutely aware of the Sabotage connection there, because I remember Per turned me on to Sabotage in 1999. I'd never heard of them, and he started playing me these songs. I started with, I think, Edge of Thorns and Hall of the Mountain King, stuff like that. So I can't say Sabotage is my favorite band, but certainly a band I really love and have listened to. So I was totally aware of what I was doing.
Yes, and let me tell you, the video also to the Greek reference to Trans-Siberian Orchestra reminds me a cartoon from the 15th or 16th called Peace on Earth, when a grandfather tells to the grandsons about the atrocities of the war. It's very, very interesting, connect the kind of reference, especially by the video Christmas Truce. My second question for end my participation here, Joakim, in this year, Carol Rex turns 20 years. Have you contemplated revisit like this classical album, or you make a special edition for the fans with extra stuff from these years?
We thought about it actually. A lot of that stuff that people want these days is vinyl, and if we want to repress a vinyl now, when we asked, it was a couple of months ago, they told us it's a year until they can press it. So that went down the drain, unfortunately. But what we are doing, in a way, we have this Swedish tour coming up now from the 7th of April until the 15th of May. And on that tour, we're going to play a lot more from the Carolus Rex album than we normally would, you know. Of course, we're going to play some stuff from the new album as well. But we seeing as it is 10 years ago, and, you know, it's a Swedish tour as well, we figured, you know, let's try it.
Okay, Joaquín, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Marcos. Muchas gracias. For my participation here, we are looking forward to see you again here in Central America. I remember I have many good memories from the festival Siembra y Lucha in Costa Rica many years ago.
Oh, the one up in the mountains on the football field.
Yes. with a cool weather, and we're looking forward to see you again, perhaps in El Salvador or Honduras. And again, congratulations, and thank you very much for answer my question here, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Gus Gonzalez from Rock and Rollin', you can do your questions.
Hi, Joaquin. How are you doing?
I'm good. Cool? And you?
Awesome. Well, first of all, it's an honor to actually be talking to you. I've been following Sabaton music from a long time ago, so I'll keep it simple. All right. So right now you're releasing The War to End All Wars, right? I would love to ask you about the process on creating this music, especially from a technical perspective. I mean, about recording vocals, recording guitars, and all that stuff that you go through on the studio. How is that you guys go through that? How do you record?
Well, first of all, the elephant in the room. The pandemic changed nothing at all because it was pretty open in Scandinavia. So weirdly enough, even the pandemic changed everything about our lives, but it did not change the way we write or record albums. In general, we're starting with the music. That would be me writing alone or me with somebody from the band musically. With lyrics, it's usually me and Pat together, sometimes Pat alone, sometimes me alone. So that was pretty much unchanged for this one. But when it came to the studio and the actual recording, one thing we really wanted to change from the Great War, because I was really proud of what we did there. But when I listened back to the whole album, and I listened to the whole album from the beginning to end, which is, yeah, I don't listen to Sabaton albums on a daily basis. I discovered that my ears were tired, you know? I liked the sound, I liked everything about it, but after listening to it from pretty loud volume for some time, from beginning to end, I was really tired in my ears. So I spoke to Jonas Kjellgren, our producer, and we actually took some time to analyze then what we could do to sort of keep the cookie and eat it at the same time. And what we came up with was actually the biggest change we did from the Great War. We did a lot of changes, but you know, side chaining reverbs might not be for everyone to read about.
Of course.
But the biggest change here is we reworked the guitar sound totally. I mean, we're still using guitar amps and guitars to record, but we changed amps and we changed cabinets, and we tried to get a more focused guitar sound, and heavier, but still with less distortion. So the guitars aren't everywhere in a frequency range. Let's say we have the treble up here and the bass here, and the guitars are mainly here and spread out. We wanted the guitars to be focused naturally, not by EQing away everything, but naturally the sound coming out of the amp to be a very focused sound. I guess a good example of that would be Accept as a very good
exactly
sound.
That was what I think.
That left room for us to have the guitars louder in the mix, but also you could hear, even though the guitars were louder, they were still heavier, and you have more room for everything else. So yeah, I think that's the main outtake, at least, you know.
Of course, I asked this because I found interesting all the changes through all the years that you've been done with the tone especially. And I think that the guitars, a more focused guitar tone on this new album will be a beast. So thank you so much for answering that question. So the next one would be, so for this album, since you are telling us that you are basing on the stories that wasn't told on the first album about the First World War, what about all the, where do you come from on the stories that you're based on this new album? Because you couldn't fit it in, let's say, fit it in on the first album. What did you guys found about this? These stories.
The two main stories we had with us from that we wanted to do before was Christmas Truce and Hellfighters. Also a few songs like Lady of the Dark about Milunka Savic, Valley of Death, I think we knew about from earlier, but from our fans. And let's see, there's one more here. But there were quite a few who also came later. Yeah, after we had released Great War, we got a few mails because we didn't represent the Southern Front very well, which I can agree in on the Great War album. And then we learned about the songs of White Friday and Blood Mountain and stuff like that, which became the song Soldier of Heaven.
Of course. Awesome. Well, thank you very much. It was a pleasure to meet you, man. And thank you so much, Marcus. Thank you.
You're welcome. Marcelo, pode fazer suas perguntas, Marcelo Vieira?
Hi, Joakim. How are you?
Hey, Marcelo. I'm good. And you?
Well, I'm fine, thanks. Considering you have answered a lot so far about the forthcoming War to End the Wars album, I have two more general questions for you. First, what is the most important war-inspired song ever, in your opinion?
Wow. The most important war-inspired song. I don't know. It's so many, so many. Sometimes it's easy to. It's hard to remember them because there are so many. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe not musically, but lyrically, Motorhead's 1916 is a really good. It might not be exactly my style of music, but lyrically, I think he nails it on the head. There are several other songs that might not be from the heavy metal genre, but are still connected to war. And a song that I loved even before I spoke very good English. I didn't know what it was about, but I still think it's a good song, and that's Fortunate Son by Creedence Clearwater Revival, you know. So there are quite a few to choose from, actually. I'm sorry, I don't think I have a good answer.
No, that's a good answer. And what would you like humanity to have learned from all the wars it has been through?
Come again?
What would you like humanity to have learned from all the wars it has been through?
Don't do that shit. We tried that for thousands of years. It isn't working.
That really sums up.
I don't know, but what I have learned is that what I have learned that mankind cannot learn from its past somehow. You know, history will teach us that.
I hope so. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jorge, de Lado Oscuro.
Just a second. In this moment, Joakim, I want to introduce Jorge. He is living actually in Rotterdam in the Netherlands, but he is from Montevideo in Uruguay.
Oh, cool.
And beside one of the biggest journalists in the country, he is also a promoter and our newest partner in the new Nuclear Blast distribution for this country. Oh. So he is distributing now our official CDs in Uruguay with his partner, just as for info.
Nice to meet you, Jorge. I think you're on mute, man.
Yeah, you would.
Let me see. Jorge, acá.
Yes, now it's good. So thanks, Gerard, for the introduction. Nice to talk to you, Joakim. So of course, all the Sabaton albums and the new one will be available in Uruguay. So very soon.
Happy to
and hopefully that leads to a first show of Sabaton in my country. Let's see. Who knows?
I would love that.
Who knows? First questions. Among all the stories that you have included in these latest two albums, is there any particular one from the World War I that is more fascinating for you than others?
Fascinating, I would say. I mean, closest to my heart might be Christmas Truce, but most fascinating might be Unkillable Soldier, Adrian Carton de Viart. As I said, it's like a fucking comic book caricature. Not even Marvel could make that shit up. It's so out there what this guy did. And when I read about it, I didn't know what to write, because I couldn't write. We couldn't do a tribute to him because obviously he was fucking mad, you know. But at the same time, it's a fantastic story that we think people would want to know about. So in a way, both the music and the video is. It has a bit of a not a comical side to it. It's the wrong word, but a playful is more maybe the word I'm looking for. A playful side to it, both from the video and musical perspective.
Mm-hmm. And I think that another journalist, Rocio, was asking about Indie Nadel. So how did the idea of the Sabaton History YouTube channel start? What was the spark of that idea?
Oh, there are two main events here that happen very far apart from each other. The first one, I think, is back in 2005, 6, 7, when we were writing about military history. Me and Pad, we're doing a lot of research, and we realized a lot of the words we put in there in the lyrics are references to something that happened or somebody said at that time. And unless you really know the history of that battle or that event, you're totally going to miss that reference. You're not going to understand why these words are there or in this order, you know. So we sort of had this dream that, like, wow, wouldn't it be cool if we sort of could do a documentary about this story, but also about why the lyrics are the way they are, you know. And then fast forward many years, and Per is doing an interview with a YouTube channel called The Great War, where Indy was the host, where they covered the Great War basically on a week-to-week basis, you know, in real time, 100 years later. And that's when sort of Per called me. Do you remember this? We talked about these documentaries. I think I know how we can do it. And I'm like, what? Are you fucking crazy? We can't afford that shit, you know? And then we said, like, no, we're not doing big documentaries, but rather a YouTube channel. And that's like, okay. And then we met Indy. He came up to our hometown. He's an American, but he lives in Sweden, in Stockholm. So it was only a 3-hour train ride or something for him. And we talked a bit, and he knew the people who to bring in, because obviously we are amateurs when it comes to history. Passionate amateurs, yes, but not experts. So we need somebody with that competence to write the scripts and everything for the historical part of the thing. So luckily enough, Indy knew all of these people, exactly who to get. So thanks to him and his team, we basically were able to start the History Channel.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Joakim, and thanks, Marcus and Gerard.
You're welcome. Joaquin, I have still some questions to be answered. Do you have some time for them to do their questions?
Yeah, I have more interviews later, but I can give you 20 more or something like that. Then I still have time to take a toilet break.
Okay, so there are 4 more to go, maybe 5. So let's go. Wagner from Alquimia do Rock.
Can you see me?
Yeah, hello, Wagner.
Hello. Man, I'll try to be short. Just as you were the latest time you came to Brazil and played in the Dream Fest, you were not the headliners. And I remember one part of the show in which you said that your bandmates told you to be very short because you didn't have much time. Yeah. So you couldn't talk and talk and talk. So I'd like to know if that was really true, and if you could describe yours and the other members' personalities.
Well, it is true. This is why we're short on time now again, you know. It's good sometimes, it's bad sometimes, you know. Personally, well, my personality on stage is a bit of a caricature, blown up version of who I really am. I mean, as you can see now, it's not a huge difference. I might not be hitting my knee while I'm doing an interview. Per, more of a silent guy, deadpan humor. He will be the guy who you think is boring, you know, because he does a lot of the business stuff and a lot of that, you know, responsibility weighs on him. But he is actually way more fun than some people give him credit for. Tommy loves the camera. But he's insanely talented. He can pretty much play and sing anything on any instrument, you know. And really a really happy guy. You know, it's sometimes having him around is like you get happy because he's so happy. Chris, kind of similar to me in many ways. I guess pretty damn serious when it comes to artwork and music. You know, you can be what people think is like, oh, he's a really relaxed guy, and he is a relaxed and nice guy. But when we get to sort of, oh, the artwork for the album cover or the guitar recording, he turns into, you know, full Nazi mode and goes, no, not good enough, we'll do it again, you know. Hannes, I guess, is the most normal person. He's the most socially competent in the band, can have a conversation with almost anyone at any time without it being awkward. You know?
Okay, and the last one is simple too. This is album number 10. I'd like to know how easy or how difficult it is to select the songs for the set lists nowadays, and what are the criteria you guys use?
don't fucking remind me, man. Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible. The criteria is, firstly, when we make the album, are these songs good enough that fans are going to be happy if we play at least half the album? So the first selection is not made before the live show. That's before we even decide to record the album, which songs go on the album. And then after that, it's a bit of a mixed ball, because we have different songs are, you know, popular in different countries. We'd get killed if we didn't play White Death in Finland or Smoking Snakes in Brazil, while if we didn't play White Death in Brazil, nobody would really miss it, you know. And if we didn't play Smoking Snakes in Finland, nobody would really, not too many would miss it. So different songs are of different importance depending on where we play. Luckily enough, these days, one of the advantages of streaming services, a lot of artists hate the streaming services, and that's fine. If they do that, I'm not bashing these artists, because let's be honest, they're not paying that great. But what they do actually is, if you are willing to use it, is give you a lot of useful data. Because one metric would be the people we meet at the concerts, but that's only going to be a very small sample of the crowd. By using Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, whatever of these streaming services data, we can really find out what people are listening to and enjoy in a specific country. So to a certain extent these days, we go by a bit of focus on the new album, some data from basically fans and also streaming services. And then lastly, gut feeling. Like, we want to play this song, or, oh, we can play this song because then we will surprise all the old school hardcore fans, and that'll be fun too. So it has to be a mix of it, you know.
Okay, thanks a bunch. Nice seeing you. Come to Brazil soon.
Oh yeah, can't wait to get back. Who's next in line?
Marcos está mudo.
Marcão, você está mudo.
Está silenciado, Frank.
Julio Aguilar iba a hacer una pregunta que Samuel iría a apoyar.
Así es, así es.
Samuel, ¿podría apoyar Julio, por favor, con las dos preguntas?
Of course. Well, hi again, Joaquin. And these questions are from Julio Aguilar from Trascendencia Rocks and Trascendencia Podcast. The first question is, as one journalist asked you before, writing songs about wars that took place in America, I think that Sabaton is a band that is always taking 2 steps forward than other bands with their ideas and proposals. So have you guys talked about making a song in Spanish?
Yeah, I would love to. I'm when everything comes into it, it is, the problem is I don't speak it at all. You know, I've done a few songs in German, but I studied German in school. I know a little, and I could correct myself a little bit. But when it would come to Spanish, to sing in Spanish, if it's about Germany versus France, no, it would not make sense. But if it was, you know, if it would be, you know, relevant to the story, it could be a revolutionary war in Latin America, Spanish Civil War, whatever it might be. Absolutely. The only problem is I would need help, because, you know, only knowing when to emphasize, especially when you're singing, it is so tricky to get it right. So I would love to, because I would love to learn more languages. And I also feel, I don't know why, more empowered, even if I say something in Polish or, you know, Portuguese or, you know, German or something, or Swedish at the right time in the right song. Somehow it fits. But I don't know if I could remember a whole song in Spanish. That's a problem.
Thank you.
Bueno, te la traduzco, Julio. que le encantaría, de verdad, no habla tan bien español, habla poquito, ese es el problema, sabe alemán, se puede manejar un poco más en ese idioma. Si se pudiera, si fuera también relevante para la historia que tienen que contar, como lo que hablamos hace un rato sobre guerras de este lado del mundo, obviamente lo haría, pero necesitaría ayuda, porque para algunos términos se necesita hacer énfasis ocupando la palabra correcta, que no se vaya a equivocar, a lo mismo que si quiere cantar en polaco o en portugués o en sueco, mientras quede bien para la canción y mientras signifique lo correcto, todo bien, y demás que le gustaría mucho hacer una canción en español. And the second question is, I would want to know, has it been so hard to make this album? Is there any song that you guys consider harder to compose than the other ones in this new album?
Yeah, as I touched on before, from an emotional standpoint, since I've tried for so many times and it was the first song, oh sorry, Christmas Truce once again. But from a technical standpoint, Hellfighters, I guess, because there's so much happening in it, you know, pretty technical song.
Okay.
Yeah. Bueno, esta respuesta fue más corta, Julio.
Sí.
Desde un punto de vista emocional, la primera canción, Christmas Truce, fue mucho más difícil de componer, pero si nos vamos a la parte técnica, Hellfighters fue la más difícil porque hay demasiadas cosas pasando dentro de la canción. Si has escuchado el disco, yo creo que te diste cuenta, yo estoy...
Sí, es tremendamente complejo comparado con la anterior.
Sí.
Very thank you, Joaquín. Greetings from Venezuela.
Nice to meet you, Julio.
Thank you again, Joaquín.
Well, this is our last question from Gustavo. He will do his last question. And yeah.
Okay, we have more time. I can go for a few more if you want.
Yeah, well, Joaquin, I have a curiosity here. Well, you have many tattoos. So how many are them and what are the meaning of them?
There is only one tattoo, actually. It starts pretty much there. It goes all over. And it's actually quite funny. They have no real meaning at all. But it's the same guy who designed the original Sabaton logo, my childhood friend who did all of these. And he became a tattoo artist. He was pretty new when he did this in 2008. That's when I had my first tattoo. But I told him the style of tattoo I wanted. And then he said, okay, I'll do all of it because you're my friend for free, but you will have no say in what the tattoo is. So I knew I was getting Maori style. And then all of this is actually freehand. So he didn't paint on a paper and then put it on. He actually put rubber bands and painted on my arm and then he tattooed.
Okay, it's amazing. And the last question is, well, my last question. It's about, well, you guys you used to have a keyboard player on your lineup. And well, since the band changed the lineup, you don't have anymore a keyboard player. So why do you decided to do this change? And do you miss a keyboard player in live situations?
I miss being the keyboard player because that's my original job. But the first reason why it happened was basically Daniel Myhr, when we went separate ways with many of the old band members back in 2012. Daniel Myhr was sort of telling us, no, I think I want to keep on going. And I went to a short holiday. I was in Iceland, and this is like 2 weeks before we started touring. And then he called me and said, no, dude, I'm sorry. I'm it's going to be too much. I'm going to join the other guys with the Civil War and, you know, play music on a, well, still a professional level, but not as much, you know. So at that point, we really didn't have a choice, you know. And at a point, also when Carolus Rex came out, there's a lot of orchestral arrangements and other things that are happening. So at that point, even if we had one keyboard player, that keyboard player couldn't play it all. Then moving on, as we are now, even if we would get 2 keyboard players, we still wouldn't have the advantage of having the keyboard players in a sense, because we still need to program the video screens to a click track, you know. We still need to program the pyro, because if you have only a flamethrower show, you can run it by hand. But the technical pyro shows we do with the video screens and all of that production, that needs a time code to play to. And the main advantage of being, you know, a real live band, if you want to call it that, and have everything played live, is that you don't have to follow that click track, is that you could improvise, you could jam, you could extend things. But at the point where we are now, it doesn't matter. Even if you've got 50 keyboards player, we'd still be stuck with that fucking time code.
Well, thank you for your answer.
Well, Joakim, this is the end of our conference. I hope you enjoyed this model of doing interviews. And
it was great.
Yeah, I hope you like the experience. And yeah, do you want to say something, Jihad, to the end?
Yeah, I want to say hello, Leva, and thank you very much for your time and support, Joakim. Say hello and my greetings to the others and your crew. All of them are, yeah, very good friends to us too, you know that, and we can't wait to see you again all in South America. Hope that this whole situation gets better soon.
And say something for the journalists to put on YouTube.
Something for the journalists to put on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. We can't, considering it's the pandemic situation, we cannot make any promises. But I spoke to Per about this 2 weeks ago, and we agreed on the priority would be on Australia, Latin America, and Japan to get shows as fast as possible, because you didn't get the Great War Tour. You know, Europe and United States did get that. However, I do realize a lot of these things with pandemic travels and which country is going to open is it's not going to be up to us. But yeah, when we are given the choice, those three, you know, areas or territories are where we're going to focus on touring first.
Awesome. So, thank you so much for this. Obrigado a todos, graças a todos por comparecer. Obrigado a todos por comparecer, pela confiança. E nos vemos nosotros en la próxima. Gracias. Obrigado.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Gracias.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Valeu.
Bye, everyone. Falou, galera.
Bye, guys.